Hello, Cross Beyonders, and welcome to another episode of Anthony's Asylum. I'm your host, Anthony, and this week we'll be talking about Ant-Man and just kind of how well that movie's doing and that kind of thing, and his role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to come. We'll also be going a little bit into Shenmue 3 and the whole Kickstarter thing behind that, as well as the new NASA Pluto photos and the flyby that they did with their craft New Horizon. So join me as we go into Anthony's Asylum. Or maybe I should say my asylum. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Ant-Man. Let me start off first by saying I have not seen Ant-Man. Yeah. Then why am I talking about it, right? Well, here's the thing. This is actually the first Marvel movie that I haven't seen on opening weekend. Ironically enough. Every other Marvel film, ever since the first, I'm talking about the Marvel Cinematic films, so the Marvel Studios films. So we're talking the first film, Iron Man, which came out back in 2008. I saw opening weekend, and then every other one I did. But yeah, ironically enough, I have not seen Ant-Man this weekend. I just couldn't get a chance. I just couldn't find the time. It was really weird. My daughter's birthday was on Friday, and we were out of town, and then Saturday was pretty crazy, and then Sunday. So, I mean, it was just, yeah, didn't see it. And I feel really bad and stupid about it because I've been so excited to see an Ant-Man movie for ever since they announced that they were going to do the Avengers. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to see Ant-Man. And then of course, how many movies has it been now? 12 movies, something like that. Hold on, I got to do the math in my head now. Wait. Yeah, I don't know. You guys can do the math and let me know. But yeah, I mean, a lot of movies, right? Since, I think it was 5 movies that led up to the Avengers. And then we had, a few more? So that was phase 1. Let's see, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Captain America, Thor, and then the Avengers. Then Iron Man 3, Thor, The Dark World. What am I missing? Captain America, Winter Soldier. That was a good one. Really good one. And Guardians of the Galaxy. And then Avengers, Age of Ultron. So what was that? Was that 10 films then? Avengers, Age of Ultron was the most recent one, which I did see, and that one was amazing. So we're talking, 10 films with no mention of Ant-Man, no mention of Hank Pym, even Scott Lang, nobody, Janet Van Dyne, nope, the Wasp, Giant Man even, whatever, Pym Particles, nope, even the Age of Ultron in that movie, I mean, I think they did a really good job with it, obviously, but even then, I mean, they completely changed the story to incorporate Stark, essentially creating Ultron and that kind of thing, which, like I said, made sense for the universe that they have now created. So it's not like, I'm not mad about that, but it is interesting that for a founding member of the Avengers, that it's, we have to wait this long for Ant-Man. But like I said, I probably can't be talking about this movie, like I said, because I haven't seen it. But I felt like I needed to talk about it anyway because it's a movie that I've been waiting for since the beginning. It's interesting to me that from what I've seen so far, what I've read about it, I'm trying to stay away from reviews and that kind of thing because I don't typically do that, especially if it's a movie I'm really into and plan on seeing very soon. And this weekend I'm definitely going to see it, so count on that. But yeah, like I said, I try and stay away from reviews. I try and stay away from too many spoilerific articles. I don't read too much about anything, really. I don't even really watch trailers if I can help it. Obviously, if I'm in a movie theater, I watch the trailers, but there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, from what I've seen, from what I've read, obviously it's not Hank Pym who is Ant-Man this time. I am curious as to what kind of role it looks like he's playing. Obviously a mentor. He's the guy that obviously has developed the Ant-Man suit, the technology, the Pym particles, that kind of thing. And we can tell he's obviously an older gentleman. So, was he doing this stuff back then? Was he a superhero back, way before all these other dudes? Probably in the 60s, during Marvel's Silver Age, in the comics. Like I said, that's speculation on my part. I'm assuming they're going to do that, and I hope they do. And then, of course, introducing Scott Lang as this generation's Ant-Man. Of course, from the comics, he does take up the mantle of the Ant-Man, and he is a thief and that kind of thing. So everything, from what I've seen so far, is actually very, very accurate as far as what we've seen in the comics and that kind of thing. So, and then of course we see, what's her face, Evangeline Lilly, I believe, who looks like, she's playing Jaina Van Dyne. But if they keep the lore the same as it was in the comics, Jaina Van Dyne was actually with Hank Pym, and Hank Pym is freaking old in this, played by Michael Douglas. And of course, Evangeline Lilly is a lot younger than him, so it doesn't really work out. But anyway, I did do some digging and some reading, and it actually, I think she's playing another character. From what I've seen on IMDb, she's playing a character called Hope Van Dyne, who is somehow related to Jaina Van Dyne, perhaps Janet and Hank's daughter. But like I said, this is all, and you guys are probably just thinking, how dumb am I right now, right? But hey, like I said, I haven't seen it, but I really wanted to talk about it, so here we are. But yeah, I don't know, it just looks really good. And part of why I wanted to talk about it, like I said, was just the fact that I've been waiting for it so long and just didn't get that chance to see it, which is so weird to me, because usually when it's a movie that I'm just so excited to see, I will see it. I will see it that weekend, and I kind of hate the whole big opening weekend extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. Because there's so many people, it's crowded, it gets crazy, it's, you don't always get the seat that you want, that kind of thing. But there's also something exciting about it, and thrilling and surprising, and I enjoy that experience sometimes. And I don't know, it's just, like I said with Ant-Man, it was always been one of my favorite heroes, both in print and in the animated series. Just like, oh god, I don't know, I just love his character, and I love the whole concept of Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man feels justifiably sci-fi, science fiction-y, and I like that. Like, it's just completely out there. It's just completely like, okay, who would ever come up with this idea, like a hero who can shrink himself down and talk to ants and then control the ants and, different insects and things to do his bidding, and then of course when he is shrunk down, he's got, the proportionate strength of an ant, which is actually really strong, for that size, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just a crazy idea. And then I should actually look that up, because I'm thinking, like, when was the Incredible Shrinking Man? That was before Ant-Man, I believe. I think the Incredible Shrinking Man was 1940s, 1950s. So I think Marvel definitely took a page from that. But yeah, anyway, but it seems to be doing really well as far as what I've seen, what I've read. I guess it's lower than expectations. I guess it was expected to make 60 to 65 million, something like that, this weekend, which seems like a lot of money. But I guess, if you're having a big Marvel movie, they should be making more than that. But I don't know, I think it did decently. I think it eventually, what was the final tally? I think like 57, 58 million, something like that. which, like I said, that's pretty amazing still for a character, when you think about it, is relatively unknown. I mean, he's actually not even relatively unknown. He is just unknown, which is sad, because I always, like I said, I always loved Ant-Man, but it seemed like whenever I talked to other people about, hey, are they going to do an Ant-Man movie? What's the deal with Ant-Man? Everyone always kind of looked at me really like, really? Ant-Man? What? Is there a guy called Ant-Man? And then I'd have to be like, yes, there is. Ant-Man exists, and he's freaking awesome. And too bad you guys don't care, but I do. And that just makes it worse. It just makes it so much worse. Than I love that character so much, and I still didn't see the movie this weekend. God, I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, anyway, it is doing well. So we'll see how it does in the coming weeks. Hopefully it continues to do well. Hopefully it doesn't peter off too much. I think, this is the beginning of the new phase. So phase 3 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, to me, based on what I've been seeing, it almost looks like a whole new start to the MCU, which is good. I think similar in the same way that Iron Man back in 2008 was sort of this whole new start, for the Marvel heroes, on the big screen. I think Ant-Man is going to be that same step. And, I think that's pretty much, I think that's fair to assume, even though I haven't seen it. I think from what I've been reading and things like that, it's going into that territory, into that realm of sort of, a fresh new movie, something that's, I don't know, that I hope a lot of people are into right now. Like, I hope a lot of people are keeping kind of an open mind. Like, I think initially when you think Ant-Man, you're like, what? It's kind of lame. But, to each his own. But I think if you haven't seen it, like me, go see it. I had every intention to see it. What was your excuse? I was just really busy. I'm a father, guys, okay? But yeah, you know what? No excuse. I don't even give myself an excuse. It's dumb. I should have seen it, but I will definitely see it this weekend, so. Anyway. But enough about Ant-Man. I kind of want to get into Shenmue 3. So I guess for those of you who have been following Shenmue 3 and the progress with that, it was interesting because, so the whole story with that was, it's been rumored, that there would be a Shenmue 3, years and years. I think the last Shenmue game, Shenmue 2, came out in 2002, I believe, for the Xbox. And a little bit of history for me in Shenmue. I have never played a Shenmue game. I have always been interested in Shenmue, which is weird, I know. But, so let's see, the first one came out in 2000. It was either 99 or 2000 on the Sega Dreamcast. So it's a Sega property. And of course, at that time, I did not have a Dreamcast. I wanted a Dreamcast, but then the PlayStation 2 was coming out, so I was like, okay, I got to get a PlayStation 2. This looks phenomenal. So I got a PlayStation 2. So I was never able to play Shenmue. And then, of course, the Dreamcast bombed, and Sega went out of the business, essentially, of making consoles. They still make software and that kind of thing. And then they made Shenmue 2 for Xbox, which I think was part of what caused it to underperform. It was critically acclaimed, but it just didn't make the money that it was supposed to. I think they should have released it on PlayStation 2, quite frankly. We probably would have gotten Shenmue 3 a lot sooner. But yeah, alas, that's what happened. The property just didn't do well, and so they didn't make another one. And so it's been kind of in limbo for years until now. And then it was announced at E3 during PlayStation's press conference this year that Shenmue 3 was coming and that it is being funded on Kickstarter. And of course everyone went crazy, and this big story, it's a big story now, like, oh, they made all their money, or they made most of their money, I guess. I think they only had a pledge. What was the original pledge? Like, the original goal, I think, was just $2 million, I think. And then, yeah, of course they made that, like the first night or 3 days or whatever it was, I don't know. But then all these other things came out, it was like, oh, well, where is this money coming from? You can't make a huge game like Shenmue 3 on $2 million and that kind of thing. I think people started like, wait a minute, what? Did I just give my money to this thing and I don't even know what the hell I'm doing? But anyway, so there's a lot of controversy, and the creator of the game, Yu Suzuki, actually came out, because there was just a lot of sort of secrecy going on and things people didn't really like about the project. So he kind of came out with a letter, which was kind of interesting. It wasn't really a full-on apology. I mean, it wasn't really like full disclosure. I mean, we're still kind of up in the air in terms of, okay, where is this coming from? Where's that coming from? But anyway, at least we have a little bit of a better understanding of how it's being funded, I guess. It's still a little vague. Like if you go to the Kickstarter page, at least, I don't know. I saw it like a couple weeks ago when E3 came out. I haven't been there since, so maybe I should check it out again. But after the whole thing at E3 and a couple days later, it was kind of like, there was an update and that kind of thing. But it's still very bare bones. Like I said, but they're I don't know. They're like, there were all these different tiers. Like 2 million, of course, you can make like this bare bones Shenmue 3, and then he came out later. I think he was like, well, with 5 million or 10 million, we could make the game that we want to make. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to cut any corners. And a lot of people were kind of like, what are you talking about? And myself included. It's like, well, why don't you just come out and say what you need? But that's just it. I mean, the reality of Shenmue 3 in this day and age on current gen consoles, which, well, for now, it's just coming out on PlayStation 4. So it's going to be a Sony exclusive. And that is where Sony comes in. Yay! Why do they do the press conference? Why do they do all this stuff, right? Well, because Sony has a stake in the project. Sony is somehow involved. And if you didn't already kind of pick up on that during E3, well, now, the weeks after E3, we should definitely be picking up on that. So yeah, Sony is backing this project somehow. They are either providing the remainder of the funds or some portion of the funds or whatever, because, like I said, a fully featured game like Shenmue 3, the fully featured game that we want, the fully featured game that, was Shenmue and Shenmue 2, that we want Shenmue 3 to be, is going to cost tens of millions of dollars, quite frankly. It's not going to be cheap. You can't make it off of 2 million. You can't make it off of 5. Maybe 10. I don't know. But it depends on, ultimately what Suzuki-san wants in the game. You know what I mean? Like, there's limitations, of course, to anything, and I think sometimes maybe, maybe those limitations can force you to create something truly magical. But also, I don't know how it works in a video game, but pretty sure since everything is pretty much created in a program, in a computer, using software, it'd be hard to not have certain assets that you need that cost a certain amount of money, and then because you don't have that money, you can now no longer create those assets or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know much about game development, but when it comes to anything else that I've done, like movies or commercials or weddings or whatever, to do the things that they want come with, if I have a client or whatever, or I have a certain shot that I need, or what, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we need for that. You can't just fake those things. But like I said, for films that are on budgets, for, things like that, for clients that are on budgets, there are limitations created. And then, my job is to kind of work around those, is to kind of figure out, okay, well, what is a solution that does not cost the money that you don't have, that kind of thing. So, like I said, with, Shenmue 3, it's definitely funded now on Kickstarter, which is good. What remains to be seen is how much involvement does Sony have? Is Sony a full-on partner? Is Sony going to be providing the remainder of the funds? Which, quite frankly, would make sense. And of course, would make it a PlayStation 4 exclusive, probably, most likely, if they do that. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it's great. I think it's great what they have done, that whole team, that they are finally able to realize their dream now. They want to finish this trilogy. They can finally do it, and Kickstarter provided that. But there's still some, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not I have never funded anything on Kickstarter, so I've never done it. I've been interested in using it as a tool for my movies, that kind of thing, but like I said, I've never gotten to that point. And I think it's definitely an interesting platform, and I would like to see it continue to thrive, but I think there needs to be more transparency, and I think they need to be careful in terms of what they do, and they need to be completely upfront with what they're doing with people's money, quite frankly. And I don't think that's such a bad thing to ask. So, like I said, I hope to see Kickstarter continue to thrive, and I'm glad that Shenmue 3 has now been funded, but I think Suzuki-san and his team need to come out and just be a little bit more clear about, okay, well, what are we doing now? Now, okay, we've raised this much on Kickstarter. Well, what is the remainder? Because, like I said, for most people, we're not complete idiots. We know that games like this cost a lot of money to make. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is, well, where is that coming from? And hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, in the coming weeks, as they start ramping up on development and that kind of thing, we get more updates and get more just goodies that we can kind of sink our teeth into and see, exactly, oh, okay, this is what's going on, that's what's going on, okay. And I don't know, I think it would make me, and I think a lot of other people who are following this project, just a little bit more, feel a little bit more at ease and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm interested now. Like I said, was interested before, definitely. Was reading a lot of good things about Shenmue and Shenmue 2. Just never got around to playing them because I was never on the platforms that they were being released on. So, but now that it is pretty obviously a Sony project, yeah, I'm totally interested and definitely will be there when it releases. So I'm just excited, and I'm hoping that they release something of worth, especially to the people who funded it, on Kickstarter. I mean, it is theirs now. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the difference between getting funding from companies and that kind of thing, and corporations and whatever, and then getting funding from fans, from your audience. I think it's an interesting dynamic, and one that will continue to evolve. So, anyway, now I kind of want to move into just something that was really freaking awesome, and it's the whole new the Pluto photos, the NASA Pluto photos, and the flyby that their craft New Horizons did of the planet. I mean, awesome, jaw-dropping, amazing. Now we have the culmination of this 10-year journey from Earth all the way to the end of our solar system. I mean, it sounds like science fiction. It sounds like crazy, right? But nope, not anymore. It's not. It's awesome. It's freaking cool. And if you haven't seen these photos, oh my god, just go. Seriously, they're everywhere. I'm sure you've seen them. Just amazing. Like, the best photo we had was this pixelated mess, and now we have this, you know. Yeah, just fantastic. But also what was interesting is the ship that flew by took these fantastic photos, but also took, you know, measurements of the planet. You know, the size. You know, Pluto is actually bigger than what was originally expected, which is pretty interesting. And I guess I read somewhere too that they were doing atmospheric measurements and just doing different readings, and oh god, like just. And I guess I don't remember exactly, but I believe there was a excess of nitrogen, if I'm not mistaken. It was either nitrogen or methane, something like that. But it's amazing, right? I mean, just the fact that it has an atmosphere of any kind, you know, whether it's nitrogen rich or methane rich. I mean, it's just like, wow, like that's something we never knew or thought was possible. I mean, you know, essentially we thought Pluto was just this floating rock, but it has all these nuances and all these, you know, amazing new things. You know, if you look at a lot of the photos, there's like craters and cliffs, you know, that, you know, obviously they make speculations because there's no way to really know. And I hope that someday we will be able to travel to all of our amazing planets that we have in our solar system, but just beyond that, you know, I mean, there's so much out there, but I think just within our solar system, there's so much, and it's like, oh, it's great. I don't know. Anyway, but based on what we've seen now, I really think, I know that Pluto was declassified as a planet in our solar system. It kind of was reduced in rank, as it were, as a dwarf planet. But come on, guys, seeing this now from NASA, I mean, these amazing photos, the fact that it does have some kind of atmosphere on it, the fact that it is bigger than what we expected, I really think Pluto should have its full planet status back. Come on, it's a full planet. Let's just name it a planet again. It's a planet. It's our 9th planet. It's amazing. It's freaking cool. So, I don't know, but maybe there's a petition we can start or something. Bring Pluto back into the solar system. No, I don't know. I don't know what we would call it. Probably not that. I wouldn't be the guy to do it, but anyway, just some cool stuff that I wanted to mention, and just wanted to wrap up a little bit. So that was it, guys, for this week. I do want to mention again that my podcast, Anthony's Asylum, does release weekly. Okay, every Friday, and it releases on iTunes and SoundCloud and YouTube, and I also have a Patreon page for those of you who would be interested in supporting me financially. It is donations only, so my podcast will remain free for the foreseeable future. I am not doing this for money or anything like that. I am doing it for fun and because I just love it and, you know, love talking about the stuff that I love. You know, that's I think a lot of people can relate to. But yeah, please, there are some links in the description. If you haven't had a chance yet, please check out my Patreon page and donate whatever you can. It would be much appreciated, guys. And so this has been another episode of Anthony's Asylum. You have journeyed inside my mind this week. Hopefully you guys weren't scared away. But yeah, I am your host, Anthony, and I will see you guys later. Bye.